Here are 6 common mistakes that I see fellow musicians make all the time that I used to make as well. I've noticed a drastic change in my ability to make quality music more efficiently since picking up on these things over the years. So my hope is that this video will save you a lot of time and headache. Let's get into it. Mistake 1, I'll fix it in post. For the longest time, I would throw a mic in front of me, hope for the best, and then spend a ton of extra time in my DAW trying to get it sounding decent. But if you listen to enough pro audio engineers and producers, you'll start to realize that they're all saying the same thing. Get it right at the source. And as a beginner, I didn't take this too seriously. Some of these guys have closets full of microphones and a ton of outboard gear, and I'm over here just trying to make what I have work. In my situation, there is no trying out different microphones for different vocal types because I have one microphone. However, once I actually started to pay attention to mic placement, the acoustics in my room, noisy gear, I realized how much time I could actually save myself and how much better the recordings coming out of my home studio could be. You can even see this principle outside of the music realm with things like movies or physical art. Get it right at the source, and the final product will likely reflect that. Mistake 2, neglecting organization. Now, my wife likes to give me a hard time because after I've taken gear out of the studio for a gig or something like that, I always have to set it up and put it exactly where it goes before I do anything else, no matter how late it is that I get back from the gig. In my home studio, everything has a very specific place and is exactly where I expect it to be the moment that I need it. I do this because I've been on the other side of things where I walk into the studio, there's stuff that's not set up, the gadget that I'm reaching for is not where it's supposed to be, and the space is cluttered because there's always a better time than right now to put stuff where it belongs. So yeah, have a place for everything, and when you move it, put it right back. By the way, if you're getting any value out of this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Mistake 3, failure to optimize time. This is something that plays an important role not only in your workflow, but potentially the actual quality of your recordings or tracks. Being in a home studio, there's a good chance that you don't have a completely sound isolated or controlled room. So if you have a family or roommates, you may not be able to bang on the drums in the middle of the night. If you have kids, you may not be able to record at certain times of the day when they're either playing outside or running up and down the hallway. And on another side of this, maybe you just have a lot on your schedule, and so you constantly find yourself running into your studio to work in 30-minute increments. I've actually done this a lot over the years, and at times it can be done, but there's always a chance that you're going to rush in there and then rush through whatever you're trying to get done. Not only can this take some enjoyment out of the music making process, but it can also cause you to cut corners or even overlook mistakes because you're just so focused on getting the thing done. So figure out how much time you're going to need, then I would say block that time out on the calendar and then show up knowing what you're going to work on. Speaking of, I would love to work on your track. I do session drums, guitar, and piano work, as well as mix and master. They're all very affordable and completely remote, so you just send me your tracks and I'll send you a finished product. There's a link in the description that'll take you there, and if you shoot me a message saying that you came from this video, I'll throw in a special discount just to say thank you for watching. Now let's get into mistake number 4, not making presets or templates. When I first started out, presets and templates were not of much interest to me, because I was just doing a lot of learning and exploration of my DAW. But over the years, I started to realize that I was gravitating toward the same instruments, effects, and routing for most of my projects. But instead of doing all that routing and adjusting every single time, I could just save the layout of my session as a project template and then save my channel strips for my commonly used instruments and effects. So for my main Logic Pro template, I have all of my tracks sorted into folders and organized by color. Inside of each folder, I have instruments that I commonly use, and the folders are used to group process these tracks. Then each group goes into a mix bus, and I typically reserve the stereo output for mastering only. I also have a couple of sends set up for reverb and the Console 1 plugin loaded up on every single channel, so that I can make adjustments there at any moment. I know my way around Logic Pro very well at this point, but there's just no getting around the fact that presets and templates have saved me a ton of time, and if you're not using them, you could be getting in your own way. Mistake 5, not optimizing your DAW/computer. I'll make this one pretty quick. A lot of people with home studios don't realize that whenever your DAW is crashing or freezing up, Yeah, it could be your computer, but many people just leave it at that and endure terrible latency and lost progress when they're not going in and adjusting their buffer size, cleaning out storage, freezing tracks, or even disabling tracks that you're not using. You can do a lot of positive damage by looking into the various ways that you can go a bit easier on your processor, and it's probably also going to save you a lot of time and headache. Mistake 6, overlooking key commands. Okay, let me admit something real quick. I've probably only been deep diving into key commands for the past year or two. It's impacted my workflow in such a huge way that I feel like I wasted so much time before, and now I find myself preaching at other people to start learning their key commands. You can do almost everything using key commands in your DAW, and it just makes things so much faster. Here's a list of some of my favorite and most used key commands for Logic Pro, and I'm sure some of these will translate to other DAWs, but you can find a list of those on the internet or inside of your DAW settings. So essentially, it all boils down to this. Find and implement ways to save yourself time so that you can have the room to do what you need to do exactly how it needs to get done. I hope that, if nothing else, this video can at least give you an idea of what that looks like in your home studio so that you can make great music more often and more efficiently. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic in the comments down below. After you leave that comment, click on this video right here because I think you'll like it. And as always, thanks for hanging out.